Alright, what do we got going on here? I'm hearing some crazy stuff. That's okay. OkultinometriX, full moon, black tarot, numerology, Viking runes, angel numbers. I'm going to see what I can cover here. You're listening to UniquilibriuM, presented by Hakeem Alibokas Alexander on Spreaker, Social Podcasting, and Wisdom, Social Audio Inc., presented for World Reading Club in association with UniquilibriuM. This edition's reading focus or presentation comes to us from Hypnoathletics, exercising your mind towards universal harmony and spiritual wisdom through healthy living and self-defense. This is episode 52, I believe, on Spreaker. And previously I did a reading on the Demon Tarot by Ariana Osborne. Hello, Sudoku. Sudoku Moth is in the room on Wisdom. And then followed that by Black Tarot by Nyasha Williams. And then a reading from some rune casting, a 5 rune spread from the Book of Runes by Ralph H. Bloom. And today just happens to be a full moon on May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. And those 5s are popping up all over the place. This being a 5 personal year for me. As well as the 5th month of the year, and then of course it's the 5th month of the year and the 5th day, so we've got these 5s popping up. The 5 personal year is something that comes from numerology, and so we are going to go through some very interesting things here. First, a little bit of background. So as I was working with the Black Tarot, which was the second divination I did following the Demon Tarot, I was putting the Black Tarot cards away, and one of them fell out onto the floor. I'm clumsy. One of them fell out onto the floor. And it fell on the floor, and it happened to be the Ace of Wands. So that's the very first card in the Wands there, the Ace of Wands, or at least... And then as I was gathering the runes to do the 5 rune spread from the Book of Runes by Ralph H. Bloom, one of the runes fell on the floor in the same place that the card fell, and in this upright position. And so I think it would be interesting to start with those to see how that kind of correlates, and maybe how that will drive forward to the rest of what we have here. So OkultinometriX happens to be my term for how I blend all the different things that I do, and how they also seem to always coordinate with each other. One way that is, for example, many years ago I was in Barnes & Noble, as I usually am, and I got these sort of cliff notes. They're these laminated cards. They're standard paper size, and there was one about astrology, one was numerology, and one was Chinese astrology. And all of the attributes that they give for my specific divinations from them were pretty much identical. So my numeral 5, my Virgo, and my Chinese zodiac is a fire snake. They all were uncannily similar. And I did also include that information on a blog post article that I did on my website, hypnoathletics.com. And I'm just going to check and see real quick what did I call that? I know it was something about, well, if you go to hypnoathletics.com, it's under, if you type in geophysics, it's under geophysics. But I want to give the exact title to that just so you can, but if you go to the site, there is a search bar. You can just type in geophysics, you'll find it. What the hell is going on here? Why is hypno? Okay, that doesn't make any sense. You go to EYM. Okay, well, it's eym.hypnoathletics.com. I don't know why it's no longer pointing from hypnoathletics. That's stupid. All right, there's a lot of things going on awry. But I do know the subdomain is eym.hypnoathletics.com. I gotta go check and see why that's not pointing to the domain, and I gotta check and see why. Just make sure I'm gonna refresh this page and make sure that okay, that is working. Gotta go in. See, it's a good thing that I check my own websites every once in a while to see what's happening here. So it's called Hypnoathletics: Possible Geophysical and Hypnotic Influences on Observed Correlations in Astrology. And in that, at the end, let's see, what did I put here? It's also downloadable. I made it as a PDF. That's funny. Oh, I think it's because I submitted it as a paper for one of my degrees, I think the master or the bachelor's at the University of Metaphysical Sciences. And so, all right, let me just move on from there because I don't want to get too caught up in this. Plus, I want to go do some driving. But, so there's one of those things that happens is that, at least for me, I found all three of those divinations matched up. My numerology is a 5, my Virgo, and my fire snake in the Chinese astrology. And so I found it very useful to blend and to use different divination tools, and have become familiar with quite a few of them over the years. Numerology being one of them, and also the Viking runes I've been using equally for about 15 to 20 years. I don't exactly remember when I started. I can check back, but it was probably around 2004, 2005, because I know that my friend Amit Sharabi, who was here for photojournalism, he's from Israel, he's back in Israel now, that was the time we were doing numerology together. He actually was the one who told me that I was doing numerology, and I didn't have any clue that I was. So let's get back to the what happened with the first of Black Tarot, and the card that fell out was the Ace of Wands. And when it fell out, I said, oh, as I was packing it up, I said, oh, this one is just for me. It must be speaking to me. And it was kind of reassuring in a lot of ways, because I think I needed to see that. I woke up this morning with a headache, and it was because I got a drink at Starbucks last night, and it was a venti chai tea latte with almond milk, but it was very sweet. And there's something about the sugar they use in Starbucks that doesn't agree with me, because I've had some issues with it before. But so the Ace of Wands, it was very inspiring. It was the one that fell out onto the floor as I was putting away the Black Tarot cards by Nyasha Williams, which is an ancestral awakening deck and guidebook. And the Ace of Wands is in the minor arcana, and it says traits: creativity, inspiration. Card description: 2 impala meet heads underneath a baobab tree in the savannah. Legend says that African royalty and elders chose the baobab tree as their meeting spot because they were able to commune with the spirits of that plant for guidance. The Ace of Wands is a call to heed your internal advice and wisdom. Be open to channeling inspiration and pursuing ideas that will allow you to rise above any obstacles in your way. Act fast and harness divine intervention when it strikes. This card is a green light to build the world and the life you believe in. It is sending you motivation to continue creating, making, and designing. And so that was pretty encouraging to me, just because of the way I was feeling. Like I said, when I woke up with a headache this morning, and it was a low blood sugar crash, and when that happens to me, I feel really terrible, and I start ruminating on all kinds of horrible things, and making stuff up and making connections to things that are negative because of the way my body and my brain feels. So, and I didn't quite break until just not too long ago, a few minutes ago, but I powered through it anyway. And I just, sometimes when I feel like that, one of the things that I do is I just start creating stuff. So I decided to just record some podcasts on Spreaker and on the live talks on Wisdom to just get through it. And it was pretty fascinating what turned up the patterns and the similarities between them. And so again, as I was putting away the black tarot cards, this is what came up, was the Ace of Wands. And it was, the thing that really stuck out to me says, it is sending you motivation to continue creating, making, and designing. Those are all things that I do. Create, make, design. And in Yang, it says routine, spiritual awakening, a celebration of life, revaluation. That word popped up somewhere else too. Oh, it popped up in the Book of Rooms. Interesting enough, okay. In Yin, negative reaction to revelations, energy vampire, narcissism, stagnation. And in Aligning, it simply says, read a picture book. And that's funny, because the first thought that came to my head was, how do you read a picture book? But then I said, wait a minute, I read runes. I read pictures all the time. I read tarot cards with pictures on them, right? So there are readings that you can do. I bet if I did away with the books that accompanied these divination tools, I'd look at them and be able to read from them as well, without any words having to go along with it to assist me. So read a picture book. And the traits were creativity and inspiration. And the thing that stuck out to me was to be open to channeling inspiration and pursuing ideas that will allow you to rise above any obstacles in your way. And it is sending you motivation to continue creating, making, and designing. Okay, that's what fell on the floor, and what popped up with when I was putting away the black tarot cards. And then, as I was preparing the Book of Runes for the 5-rune spread for episode 51 that I was doing on Spreaker, and that I recorded also on Wisdom, it came up as the one that fell on the floor in the upright position was Tewaz, which translates to warrior. And I didn't read that one yet, but here it is. I wanted to save it to read it for now. I didn't read either one of them on a recording, but I also didn't read it to myself before I started. So here's Tewaz on page 120 in the Book of Runes. The warrior, Tiyu, the sky god. This is the rune of the spiritual warrior. Always, the battle of the spiritual warrior is with the self. Funding a will through action, yet unattached to outcomes, remaining mindful that all you can really do is stay out of your own way and let the will of heaven flow through you. These are among the hallmarks of the spiritual warrior. Embodied in this rune is the energy of discrimination, the sword-like quality that enables you to cut away the old, the dead, the extraneous. And yet, with the warrior rune comes certain knowledge that the universe always has the first move. Patience is the virtue of this rune, and it recalls the words of St. Augustine, that the reward of patience is patience. Here, you are asked to look within, to delve down to the foundations of life itself. Only in so doing can you hope to meet the deepest needs of your nature and tap into your most profound resources. The molding of character is at issue when you draw Taiwas. Associated with this rune are the sun, masculine energy, the active principle. The urge for conquest is powerful here, especially self-conquest, which is a lifelong pursuit and calls for awareness, single-mindedness, and the willingness to undergo your passage with compassion and in total trust. When this rune comes in response to a relationship issue, it indicates that the relationship is both timely and providential. The bond is a real one. There is work for you to do together. If the issue concerns devotion to a cause, an idea, or a path of conduct, the warrior rune counsels perseverance, although at times the kind of perseverance called for is patience. A rune of courage and dedication. In ancient times, Taiwas was the glyph that warriors painted on their shields before battle. Now, the same symbol strengthens our resolve to align the self with the self. And the first self there is a lowercase s, and the second is a capital S, which is one is the inner self, the inner knowing, and the other one is the divine, the all that there is. So there's some very interesting things because of the issues I presented was simply one word, and it was a name. And so it's now that I'm looking at this, when it says, when this rune comes in response to a relationship issue, it indicates that the relationship is both timely and providential. The bond is a real one. There is work for you to do together. So that's very encouraging to me, because that's what I was thinking of the whole time that I was doing all of the divination tools, and I was working with all of them. And again, like I said, it's because when I have chemical imbalances from things that happen that I eat sometimes, which yesterday was the mistake of getting a very large drink from Starbucks that had a lot of sugar in it, from the powder that comes with their that chai tea latte. I woke up this morning with a horrible headache and definitely low blood sugar, and it just felt terrible, but I got up anyway, and I was going to drive to first do some Uber driving at first, but I came to Barnes & Noble. It's like my church, and at least until I open my own monastery and bookstore. And so and I just said I just need to do some work and catch up with podcasting and recording, and also to do it in a noisy environment full of people, because I'm also recording it additionally on my DR05X, which is a recorder, a binaural recorder from Tascam. I think there's a Tascam one. Yeah. And so those things were very interesting. Now also, various numbers came up in the readings, and they're all connected to the Demon Tarot, the Black Tarot, and the Viking moons. And so it would be interesting, I think, to share the connection with that, because there were a lot of references to the moon here. But what I first would like to go into is, because today is the full moon on May 5th, 2023, I'm going to look at what Nyasha Williams talks about rituals for the full moon here. So maybe it can give you some suggestions to working with the full moon in this particular new moon today, or full moon today, that is. So, and I'll read the description again here. I read it earlier when I was doing the deck what was it in this book here? She calls it a deck story. Right? And that's what I titled the podcast, Deck Story. So here's the full moon description. But first I'd like to say hello. I saw Graciela Moore popped in the moon. I use her moon magic and mindfulness agenda and journal every day to keep myself focused, and it's been one of the most consistent tools that I've used ever, as I've never used a planner or any other journal like that as consistently as I do that one. So I just like to give a shout out and acknowledgement for that. And also say again, hello Sudoku Moth, Elizabeth McClung, Lois Hampson, Mojo, Julie, Mike Wright, whether or not you are still in the room or just passing through. So the full moon, since today being the full moon, it says, during this phase, the sun, moon, and earth are all aligned, similar to their positions during the new moon phase. But the moon is fully illumined, being on the opposite side of the earth from the sun. The full moon represents release and the sealing of intention. So release and the sealing of intention. The plan is now in full bloom, indicating completion, transformation, fertility, and abundance. The full moon phase is ideal for letting go of anything that no longer serves you, including, but not limited to, jobs, relationships, thoughts, and feelings. Full moon energy can be intense and can come with a downside. The moon during this phase can enhance tension, increase heavy and intense thoughts, and encourage emotional behavior. Putting your thoughts and energy to paper can be a good way to relieve some of that energy. So that's also relevant to the fact how I woke up. It says that it can increase heavy and intense thoughts and encourage emotional behavior. And fortunately, I addressed that the other day when I was talking about, and I went and spoke to Graciela on one of her talks about how I needed to sleep, and I was having low blood sugar, and I was just having a difficult time. And on that, after that, I went on and did a talk on wisdom about specifically how I've realized that these things pass, and that I've been dealing with it all my life, and that all I have to do is just wait it out, and not passively either, by getting myself involved in different activities. And just in the same way that there was a question proposed here on the Wisdom app that was, how do you deal with rejection? And my answer is always the same, is that I simply move on to something else, because I have a lot of activities that I can involve myself in. And so, nature abhors a vacuum. So instead of eliminating or trying to just get over the negative, intense emotional feelings that I have, I put things in their place, or I put something in its place. So I fill the void with something else. Just like how in the book Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill states that he says, I will do what needs to be done when it needs to be done and as it needs to be done. I will complete the most difficult tasks first to foster or build habits of action in place of habits of procrastination, or something like to replace habits of procrastination with habits of action. Right? So you can't just say, I'm not going to procrastinate. You have to put a plan for action in its place. So now there are rituals for the full moon in the Black Tarot book, and it's very short. Some rituals, it says, take a spiritual bath. Spiritual baths are used in many cultures to cleanse the soul, clear the mind, and ultimately heal with an intention. The goal is to remove any blockages that can get in the way of your growth. I don't know. This has been happening. These waves of sadness just keep overtaking me. Cleanse your mental and physical space. Charge spiritual tools. Meditate and dance. So those are some of the things that it says to do for the full moon rituals. Okay. Then Also, because of one of the books that I use every day, besides the Angel Numbers book, which I'll get to in a moment, as I mentioned before, Moon Magic and Mindfulness with Grace by Graciela Moore. There are some references in there as well. So if we look at, I know I have a bookmark in here for that. So a full moon, May 5th, 2023, part 1. It says journal promptings for the following page. And you can ask this to yourself, and even if you don't have the book, you can refer to these questions and write them down and give your answers to them. And then also, I know that Graciela has downloads of specific pages in the book. So if you don't have the full book and you didn't get it in the beginning of the year, you can also download specific pages and start where you are. Start today. Okay, so in Moon Magic and Mindfulness with Grace, full moon, May 5th, 2023, part 1, journal promptings for the following page. Because the following page says use this space to freehand journal and then paint over it with black to seal your intention. Then paint something beautiful over it. Right? Remember in the Black Tarot, that's exactly what Nyasha Williams says about the full moon. She says the full moon represents release and sealing of intention. Right? Release and sealing of intention. And so it says, what am I creating with the wisdom of transformation? So you can answer that question today. Write that down and answer that question. What am I creating with the wisdom of transformation? The next is, what's coming up for me that teaches me about how far I've come in my journey? What's coming up for me that teaches me about how far I've come in my journey? And next it says, how am I honoring the depth of my desires, emotions, and feelings? And then the affirmation is, I release the discomfort that's surfacing. Affirmation, I release the discomfort that's surfacing and embrace the comfort of knowing that I am safe right here, right now. All right. Okay. I don't know what the hell is going on today. All right. There's some more affirmations. It says, I am hopeful and loving the process. I am filled with gladness. So that was from Moon Magic and Mindfulness with Grace, the 2023 Manifestation Agenda and Journal, Graciela Moore. So I did go over the moon rituals in Black Tarot by Nyasha Williams, and I also read Tewaz, which came up when these things fell on the floor, and there was also a card that fell on the floor. Both of them fell on the same spot, interestingly enough. I guess I was kind of clumsy, but to me that didn't really come out as the first thing. To me it was just like, oh, that's what I need to focus on, and the encouragement that I need to have. I don't know why, but I'm going to look at this again because I became, again, particularly emotional, if you will, when I was reading the prayer from, I think it's St. Francis of Assisi. So if you didn't hear that one before, there was some part in the middle as I was getting through it that it started. I don't know if that was a wave of something that was just kind of shifting through me at the moment, or if it had to do with what was being read from there. But I'd like to take a look at it and see what it says here. It says, it's called A Simple Prayer. And it says, okay, I can't even start. Give me a second. That's weird. I really don't know what the hell is going on there. I'm just looking at it. It's just invoking something I need to release, I suppose. Okay. All right. Let's see if I can do this. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, let me sow pardon. Where there is doubt, let me sow faith. Where there is despair, let me sow hope. Where there is sadness, let me sow joy. O Divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. It is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Saint Francis of Assisi. Excuse me. All right, so I reviewed the full moon, or not reviewed, but just discussed and referenced some rituals and affirmations from the full moon, both from the Black Tarot and from Moon Magic and Mindfulness with Grace, and from the Book of Runes by Ralph H. Bloom. And now I will look at some numerology and angel numbers, since those are very much related. And as I said that, angel numbers in numerology, there is now 11 have come through to listen or pass through the room, and 11 in the angel numbers book is one that comes up a lot. And so it's a very important one. And if you don't know, this is how I've been using it according to the angel numbers book, and it's simply called the awakening. So when you see 11, it says you are being called to attention. Your angels want to send you signs, but first they need to make sure you'll be paying attention. This number asks you to notice the world around you so you don't miss the important messages coming your way. Ask your angels for confirmation after you see this number. Repetition is their way of getting your attention. So, confirmation, angels, give me some confirmation. What is the confirmation that I'm looking for here? And so, I want some confirmation. And I'm sure that it will pop up somewhere soon, somewhere that I look. Something will show us all. And that's what the number 11 signifies. So, and of course, angel numbers are very much related to numerology. And the number 11 is... I don't happen to have Numerology for Beginners by Jerry Bauer in my bag there. I thought I did. Instead, it's the Cartoon Guide to Chemistry. But that's all right. And so then... I was just getting a phone call from the barber that gave me a shave. Made me nice and smooth and bald yesterday and trimmed my beard for me. First time I ever did that, by the way. Because, let's see. All right. I got some strange news this morning also when I woke up, so I'm not going to really address that here, but I wonder if there are any numbers that anybody sees popping up and can take a look at what those are. But that even not being the case, it doesn't matter. I have some numbers to go over through the Angel Numbers book that correspond with the divination that came from the Viking runes. And this is also always very revealing. So the first one that came up was Othilla, which is the fourth in the order of the Viking runes. And so I'm going to look at it in that way. So let me first, I didn't take these notes earlier. I'm going to refer to the photo I took. I do that as often as I can, as I take photos of the runes as I cast them, so I can refer back to them. And I'm seeing one of the reasons why now. So let me go ahead and take a look at those so I can... That's strange. I thought I took a photo of those. Hold on. Let me see. Did I take a photo with another camera? Boo. I didn't do that. That's very strange. Well, the good thing about that is that I know that what the first one was. Oh, that's really weird that I would have done that. Oh, I know why. I did take it, but I took the photo. No, wait a minute. No, I didn't. What is going on here? Did those photos disappear? Because right now, what am I looking at here? Okay, I got that. Ace of Wands, got those. But the it doesn't seem to be that I took a photo of the Viking runes. Fortunately, they're recorded, and I can refer to the recording, but maybe I can go off the top of my head here. So I do know that the first one was Othilla. So I'm gonna write that down first here. So let's see. I know the first one was Othilla, which is page 4, and also, page 98, but it's at number 4. So I'm gonna go Othilla. Okay, remember Othilla was that. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let's see, Othilla, and then let me take a look. I know that Ingu's was the last one because it's a symmetrical one that does not have a reversal. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna piece this together. This is gonna be fun. All right, so the last one was Ingu, so I'm gonna put that in the number 5 spot that I put here. So Ingu's. I'll solve this yet. Ingu's, and then let me see what other one came up. So I got Othilla. Nope, that didn't come up. No, not that one. No. I know Wonjo came up. I don't know what position that came in. But if I look at the Wonjo is joy. Where did that pop up? Oh, it popped up as a sacrifice. See, I know. Okay, good. So I have that reference. So that was number 4. Wonjo sacrifice. Only 2 more to put into place. All right. Lagu on page 127 was flow. Okay, so let me write that down. Lagus. I don't know which position it was in again. Let me just see, what was the other one? Oh, Thurisaz. Thurisaz. So Thurisaz, Thor is, and I remember only one of them, yeah, because it was one Joe was reversed. That's why I remember it was a number 4, and it correlated very well with being. But let's see, Thurisaz is Gateway, and Gateway was that. Okay, so I got Othilla, Laguz, and Thurisaz. Which one was number 2? Which one was number 3? Let me see if I can. So let's see, Gateway, page 133. I'm workshopping here. I'm tracing my steps to figure this order out here. 133. What did it say? Gateway for someone is the work to be done both inside and outside of the frontier between heaven and the mundane. Recognition of your readiness to contact the numinous, the divine. And then Laguz, which is, that was also pointing upwards. Where did that make visualize? Where was that on my circle here? I'm gonna have to say, let me see, I'm looking, Othilla is there. There's Othilla. And then, if it goes all the way on that side, we got 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay. Yeah, so that means that Laguz was in the 3rd position. Yep, Laguz is in the 3rd position. That's Laguz. And Thurisaz was in number 2. Yep, Thurisaz was in number 2. Alright, good. So now I have them, I have the order figured out of where they go. So now I can correlate them with the angel numbers. And what I like about the angel numbers is that what has happened with them is that the way that I've been practicing numerology for years is what I recently discovered in a book called Hot Numbers, a number numerology book which I just recently got from Jeannie's used books in Portsmouth, Virginia, and that basically what hot numbers are, as the author describes it, is focusing only on the positive attributes of the numbers in numerology, which I've just always been doing by default because I'm very simple and I didn't want to have to remember all of the negative aspects of them. It was just nothing. And one of the reasons I do that, what my rationale was for it, was to focus on that rather than anything else, and use it basically as inspiration, sort of how you would read something to just be encouraging. I guess the negative traits are what to look out for sometimes, but I figured if we just focus on the constructive, the positive, the progressive, the building, the growth, it would be better. But those are considered hot numbers. And so that's what the angel numbers book is for me. So regardless of whether or not they popped up for you directly, there will be some interesting correlations here for how they can be read here for you hearing them. So hearing the angel numbers. And I'm quite certain that today these numbers are going to pop up in your day. You're going to see them either repeated or they're going to be somewhere like really prominent to you. So Othilla is number 4 on the list, but it's also on page 98, so we get to do 2 readings for that. Thurisaz is number 21 in the order of the Viking moons, and it's on page 133. Laguz is number 18 in the progression of the Viking moons, and it's on page 127. Wonjo is the 12th of the Viking moons, and it's on page 115. And finally, Ingus is number 8 in the order of Viking runes and on page 107. So we get to explore those and see how those also line up with the meanings of the runes themselves, if there is in fact any correlation. You know how it is, runny noses when you're crying and all. You gotta get that out. So, alright. Angel numbers for encouragement. For all to hear. These are like prayers, meditations, affirmations. Just hearing them because they're presented to me, I use them like hot numbers. They're just positive aspects. They're just really great to hear at all times. So let's start with the smaller numbers first and then go into the pages that they're on because the pages are all higher. But I'm going to read them both together. I'm actually going to read Othilla 4 and 98. So I'm going to pop back and forth from that. So Othilla, the number 4 in the book is very simple. It's one of the first ones. And it's foundations. It's time to get back to basics. There are things that, if left under-nurtured, can fall to ruin. Your angels remind you to go back to the foundations of self and take inventory of what is lacking. You can't build yourself up without maintaining all the good work you've already done. Journal today on one foundational part of your life that could use reinforcement. And then 98, which is the page that it's on in the book. Alright, so let's see here. 98. Be generous. Being giving is good for others and yourself. Your angels want you to level up your life satisfaction by giving to others today. Be generous with your time by helping someone out, with your heart by giving compassion, or with your belongings by sharing what you have. So that's 4 and 98. So I'm going to drop 2 of the basics down there. So 4 is foundation. Foundation. I'll put this in another section here. So I have more room. Foundations, and then be generous. So foundations and be generous. And then what is that what is Othilla? So we have foundations and be generous. And what does Othilla mean? Othilla is the rune for separation. So foundations, be generous, and separation. Foundations, be generous, and separation. Now I wonder if looking in the book, because you can always find patterns, like you find what you're looking for, right? And that's a good thing. In the extremes, it can be called confirmation bias, right? But in the useful form of confirmation bias is if you're looking for opportunities that are going to benefit you, you'll find them. Or you'll find a way, right? Like as Robert Kiyosaki says in his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, ask yourself the question, how can I afford it, instead of saying I can't afford it. Where one is a statement that's definite, has no end, and doesn't cause you to think, whereas asking the question, how can I afford it, causes you to think more, which is interestingly enough the opposite in the Book of Runes for good reason. In the Book of Runes it says to make a statement that leaves it open for you to interpret, whereas asking a question just gives an answer that is more definite. It doesn't give you any room for interpretation. So we have foundations, be generous, and separation. Also, the other 2 words that go with Othilla are retreat and inheritance. And let's see. So foundations, be generous. Well, it says work you do, believe to nature, creation called for, and free you to become more truly who you are. Alright. Now the next one is Thurasad, which is on the 21st rune, and it is on page 133. So we'll look at those two numbers. Look at 21 and also 133. I wonder also. I'm gonna start doing some math. I'm actually about to start geeking out here if I don't focus real quick. All right. So Thurisaz is the one that came in the second position of challenge. So Othilla was in the first position of the overview of the situation. Second position, Thurisaz on page 21. The 21st rune, and on page 133. So we'll go 21 is advancement. You are about to level up. The next step is coming. So prepare yourself to receive it. Think of what you need to release in order to do so. Write it down, and at the next full moon, either burn it or bury it and feel the space open up for what is next. Okay, so that's relevant here as it is full moon, but of course dealing with this many numbers, right, that's bound to happen statistically, probabilistically. We're going to have things like that. But that's pretty awesome, right? It's the full moon today. So we have the next step is coming, so prepare yourself to receive it. Think of what you need to release in order to do so. And also, that's what Othilla was telling us. Was that it says that the separation called for will free you to become more truly who you are. It says real property is associated with Othilla, for it is the rune of acquisition and benefits. However, the benefits you receive, the inheritance, may be derived from something you must give up. Okay, and so this is also saying level up. Think of what you need to release in order to do so. Write it down, and at the next full moon, either burn it or bury it and feel the space open up for what is next. So cool thing about that is that both in Moon Magic and Mindfulness with Grace and in Black Tarot, they both talk about that the full moon is for releasing and releasing intention, right? So releasing intention, so stating, right? So releasing, and what else? Let me look at Black Tarot again so I can get a clear idea of what she said here. The full moon says, ideal for letting go of anything. Oh yes, represents the release and sealing. That's the other word I was looking for, sealing. Release and sealing of intention. And so here it's saying to write it down. And at the next full moon, either burn it or bury it. And feel the space open up for what is next. I'm gonna have to take a really good look at that one because it's the full moon and so many things powerfully happen on this day. I'm gonna actually have to really get down and do a lot of these rituals. I have all night. All right, so now, okay, getting back to Thurisaz, that was 21. Okay. And then the other number associated with it, because it's on page 133. It's 133, so let's see what that says for 133 here. 133. Channel divinity. Be someone's angel. There is a person who needs your unconditional love and assistance. That's very true. What is a selfless act you can provide today that will help this person feel the divine in themselves and around them? Channel your angel and be inspired to help another person. All right. That's good. I'm definitely going to focus on that. So since that's Thurisaz, that's on page 133, let's see how that, if anything, correlates at all. It doesn't always have to. This is kind of my own little hack. This is the hack that Hack does, is looking at the pages and lining up the angel numbers, because the angel number book goes up to 999. So let's see, the 21st rune, page 133, with the gateway for gateway, place of non-action to God 4. Let's see, Thurisaz, the frontier between heaven and mundane. Arriving here is a recognition of your readiness to contact the numinous, the divine. Yeah, channel divinity. Okay, well, they're always talking about divine in this book. That's what this is, divination. Mood of non-action, not to be approached and passed without contemplation. Okay, reflection. Oh yeah. Observe it all, bless it all, release it all. Okay. So there's release again. Remember, I'm looking for any points of contact, however tenuous they may be. The word we're getting here is release. The word release is coming up a lot, and that's very important because of the full moon, right? And also that ritual before said, which was 21, because Durasas is the 21st rune. The number 21 says to think of what you need to release in order to do so, right? So to level up, that is. All right, moving on to the third position, which is the course of action called for, and in that position was Lagos, and Lagos is page 127, but also it's the 18th room. So let's look at the numbers 18 and then look at page 127. So let me get to that page 127 first. Okay. And then let's take a look. 18. Number 18. Because it's the 18th room. And so it says wish. Oh wait, I didn't write those other ones down. Oh, that's fine, I'll get back to it. I have them here. Wish. Manifest your desires. It's brave to want something, and your angels are asking you to be very brave. Make a wish and let it out into the universe, knowing it will come back to you in divine timing. Write down a wish and set it out where the wind can carry it away from you. As it flies away, you will know your angels have it now. Either that or it's going to get stuck on somebody's windshield, and they'll have it. All right, let's see. Now let's see. And then the next the page it's on is 127, which I've already got to. Oh, it's stuck in here. What is this? There's a fortune. How about, what's the fortune say? Get into the spirit of the times. I had some little fortune cookie when I went with my friend Sarah to, I think it was like Sushi King or something. No, it wasn't Sushi King. They don't have fortune cookies here. Maybe they do. I don't fucking know. All right, page 127. So looking at angel number 127. Let's see. 127. Creation. You're creating your soul's plan. The choices you've made are in line with your soul contract. Feel assured that the path you take presently is leading you to where you want to be. Create an intention today that aligns you further to the divine's plan for you. Write it down and place it where you can see it every day. So it's like vision boarding. All right, and then what is Lagos? Flow, water, that which conducts. Unseen powers. This room often says it's time for cleansing, revaluing, organizing, realigning. I call you to study spiritual matters, self-transformation, so on and so forth. Okay, I want to move to this more quickly here. Going on to, in the fourth position, one Joe, which is sacrifice, which is interesting because it was the only one that was reversed. And so, because usually one Joe is joy. Well, it always signifies joy. But in this case, it was the only one that was upside down. And it's in a position in the Viking runes that says that sacrifice, and it was also reversed. The only one that was reversed. Some of them don't have a reversal because they're completely symmetrical runes. Like for example, the last one, Ingus, there's no reversal for that because it's symmetrical. But Othila, that has a reversal because it's like that fish, that Jesus fish symbol, but with sharper corners. It's like a diamond with 2 feet pointing upwards, so that definitely has a reversal. Durasaz has a reversal because it's like a flag post or a gateway and it's pointing to the right, so it could point to the left and that would be a reversal. Laguz has a reversal because it's like a half of an arrow pointing up. It's like a side, or like would that be an L? No. And like a number 7 pointing the other way. Anyway, that has a reversal. And one joy, it also, so a couple of them, they could have been reversed, but none of them were except for that one, which is in the sacrifice position. I just find that see, to me, those kind of things stick out as being significant. Maybe I can't continue to doubt myself with these things because I've had way too many confirmations, especially through angel numbers, that what I'm seeing is what I should be believing. And when I say what I'm seeing, I'm not talking about with my physical eyes. Okay, so one Joe gives us two numbers. It's 12 and 115 because it's on page 115, which I'm going to turn to first, and then I'll look at the angel numbers for 12 and 115. And 12 pops up a lot, and I think that's actually where that fortune is stuck in the angel numbers book, because I think number 12 is one of them that was in that fortune. So let's go ahead and look at and listen to 12. Let me see. Yeah, the numbers are 15, 7, 24, 50, 49. Alright, but let's look at 12. 12 is in the position of sacrifice, but it's support. When you take the next step, you are not alone. Life has sent you new opportunities, and now is the time to embrace them with the faith that you will be supported. The things that come your way are for your highest good. Reflect on how you've been helped by unseen forces in your life. Sit in the profound realization of how support comes in many forms. And then, being that it's on page 115, holy shit. Yo, I just grabbed the angel numbers book and just pulled it open for a second, and because I was going to look for 115, but it opened up to page 115 in this book, not to where 115 is. That's pretty cool. All right, so that's really significant. That's a repetition. That's one thing. That's something right there that's saying pay attention. Okay, guys, these things don't happen. I wish I was recording some video, but this is ridiculously awesome. So here goes 115. It says choose love. When in doubt, follow your heart. Your guides want to send you love because you are worthy of it. Open yourself up to receiving self-love, romantic love, and familial love by cleansing your heart chakra. Place rose quartz over your heart and ask your angels to clear any blockages you may have. All right, now 115 pop up. So it's telling me to pay really a lot of attention to that, seeing as how I just grabbed the book to open it up, and this 115 codex for the angel number 115 is on page 57. Okay, so that was interesting that I just pulled the pages open and opened up to page 115. And there are 4 different numbers on that page, which maybe I need to look at. All right, but continuing, finally, Ingus, the final of the. Oh wait, I didn't look at one joy. It means joy and light. All right, that's what it is in the book, page 115. It was reversed. Things are slow in coming to fruition. All right, I'm not going to read that again. Finally, Ingus. So Ingus is on page 107. It's the 8th rune, and on page 107, both of those numbers actually equal 8. So 107, 107 is an 8. Okay, I'm going to also do that addition in a minute here for some other ones. But so 8 and then 107 for Ingus, which is in the final position of new situation evolving. So 8, let's take a look at that. 8. Abundance. The energy is limitless. There are forces always flowing and moving through and around you. The ones you pay attention to and open up will envelop you in their flow. When you see this number, meditate on what in your life requires development and abundance. Visualize energy coming forth to nurture growth in these areas. And then, since it's on page 107, I'm going to look in the Angel Numbers book at 107. And it says, embrace fear. Get comfortable within. It's normal to have fears when it comes to completing your goals. Your angels want you to befriend these feelings. In time, you'll see that while they may not go away, they don't have to control you. Write down your current fears and reflect on how to challenge them in small ways. And of course, Ingu's is in English. It is fertility, and on page 107. And that is that for another little hack that I was doing to find some more inspiration. And it's fertility, new beginnings, Ing, the hero god. I could also go even further, which I just thought of this just now, and then look at what pages those divinations are on from the Angels Number book. So, for example, when I go to look at Othilla, right, which is the fourth room, right, and on page 98 in the Book of Runes by Ralph H. Bloom, right, I could also go like this. I can say, okay, well, 4, which is foundations, is on page 29 in the Angels Number book. You see what I'm talking about? And I can go on and on like that because the 29 is on another page, right? If I look at 29 is on page 36, right? So I could just go on and on and on with that. So it's just another way to find continued inspiration and to look and see how all these things. You can just go on an endless hunt with these different things. And actually, let me see. So one of the things I'll do is like 4 plus 98 is 102. So 102 is a 3. And then 21 plus 133 is 154. 1 and 5 and 4 is 10, which is a 1. 18 plus 127 is 145, which is also 10-1. 12 and 115 is 127, which is 3 plus a 7, 10 and a 1. Oh, that's interesting. And 8 and 107 is 8 and 8 is 16, which is a 7. So we have a 3, 1, 1, 1, and a 7. 111 again. So see, there's so many different ways that the numbers will pop out and talk to you, depending on everything you do. You'll find the numbers everywhere. I'm gonna have to explore this later. I don't have much time to drive. Actually, matter of fact, I have to go on post at Central 111 at 8 o'clock. Today is the busy day, so I usually get there a little bit earlier. So I'm gonna drive for a little bit and then probably go into some of this math madness a little bit later. Anyway, there's a peek inside of the mind of OkultinometriX, which reminds me of a line for some reason from the book The Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes, published around 1936 or 38 or something like that. And it says, and that's actually on page 127, I believe, in the book. And it says, there is but one mind, which mind is God. It is the only mind there is. So maybe that's something to meditate upon as I go about my day and as you go about yours.